What if I told you that World War I didn't actually start with Franz Ferdinand's assassination? That's right. The event that killed 65 million people and destroyed 4 empires was triggered by something completely different. A secret meeting in a German palace, lasting just 13 minutes, where 3 men made a promise so catastrophic it doomed an entire continent. This wasn't some random diplomatic chat. This was the moment Germany handed Austria-Hungary a loaded gun and said, "Shoot whoever you want, we've got your back." The craziest part? Most people have never even heard of this meeting, even though it's the real reason your great-great-grandfather might have died in a trench in France. This is the story of the blank check that broke the world. Everyone knows about Franz Ferdinand's assassination, but what if I told you that single gunshot didn't? The setup. Picture this. It's July 1st, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand has been dead for 3 days, and Austria-Hungary is furious. But here's what your history textbook didn't tell you. Vienna wasn't sure they could handle Serbia alone. They needed backup, and they knew exactly where to get it. Count Alexander Hoyos, Austria's diplomatic messenger, was already boarding a train to Berlin with a mission that would reshape world history. His briefcase contained 2 documents, a memorandum about the Serbian menace and a personal letter from Emperor Franz Joseph to Kaiser Wilhelm II. These weren't just diplomatic pleasantries. They were Austria's attempt to drag Germany into what they knew would become a much larger war. The secret meeting, July 5th, 1914, Potsdam Palace. While most of Europe enjoyed their Sunday afternoon, 3 men gathered for what would become known as the Potsdam Crown Council. Kaiser Wilhelm II, German. The Austrian case was simple but calculated. Serbia was a cancer that needed to be cut out, and they needed German support to do it. But here's the kicker. They weren't just asking for diplomatic backing. They wanted Germany to promise unconditional military support, knowing full well this meant war with Russia, and by extension, France and Britain. Wilhelm II faced an impossible choice: support Austria and risk global war, or abandon their only reliable ally and watch German influence in Europe crumble. The Kaiser had already alienated Britain. France was thirsting for revenge after 1870, and Russia was rapidly industrializing. Germany was surrounded, and Austria-Hungary was their lifeline to the Balkans and the Ottoman Empire. But there was another problem brewing in Wilhelm's mind: his own insecurities. The Kaiser desperately wanted to prove Germany's strength after years of diplomatic humiliations. The Morocco crises, the naval arms race with Britain. The discussion lasted barely 13 minutes, but every second counted. Bethmann Hollweg, known as the philosopher chancellor, surprisingly pushed for the aggressive option. Why? Because German military leaders had convinced him that war was inevitable, and 1914 might be their last chance to win it. General Helmuth von Moltke the Younger had been whispering in government ears for months. Russia was rearming rapidly. France was strengthening their defenses. And the British were expanding their army. The famous Schlieffen Plan assumed German technological and organizational superiority. But that window was closing fast. "Better a terrible end than endless terror" became the unofficial motto of German strategic thinking. Meanwhile, Admiral Alfred von Tirpitz's naval challenge to Britain had backfired spectacularly, forcing Germany into exactly the kind of two-front war Bismarck had spent decades avoiding. Here's what made this moment so dangerous. Everyone was calculating, but no one was calculating correctly. Austria thought Germany's support would deter Russian intervention. Germany thought Austria's quick victory over Serbia would present Europe with a fait accompli. Russia thought their alliance with France would deter German aggression. France thought the entente with Britain would keep Germany cautious. Every single assumption was catastrophically wrong. Wilhelm II's psychology played a crucial role here. The Kaiser was impulsive, insecure, and desperate to be seen as a strong leader. His withered left arm, his complicated relationship with his British royal relatives, and his deep-seated fear of appearing weak all contributed to this moment. When Count Hoyos presented Austria's ultimatum plans, Wilhelm didn't hesitate. Now or never, Austria must act with energy, and Germany will support her. And then came the words that doomed Europe. At approximately 3:47 p.m. on July 5, 1914, Kaiser Wilhelm II made the promise that history would call the blank check. His Majesty will faithfully stand by Austria-Hungary, as is required by the obligations of his alliance and his ancient friendship. But here's the critical detail most people miss. This wasn't just about honoring existing treaties. The dual alliance of 1879 only required German support if Austria was attacked first. What Wilhelm promised was support for Austrian aggression against Serbia, knowing it would trigger the alliance system that would drag in Russia, France, and Britain. Bethmann Hollweg sweetened the deal with a crucial addition. Germany would support Austria even if the conflict should spread to include Russia. In diplomatic language, this was a declaration of willingness to fight a world war. The domino effect. July 28th, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. July 30th, Russia begins mobilizing to defend Serbia. August 1st, Germany declares war on Russia. August 3rd, Germany declares war on France and invades Belgium. August 4th, Britain declares war on Germany. In exactly 1 month, the blank check had transformed a regional Balkan crisis into global catastrophe. The secret deal that started World War I wasn't Franz Ferdinand's assassination. It was 13 minutes of conversation in a German palace that gave Austria-Hungary permission to light the fuse. The bitter irony, the most tragic part, the war Germany thought would strengthen their position instead destroyed everything they fought to preserve. The blank check was written to maintain Austria-Hungary as an ally and secure German dominance in Europe. So the next time someone tells you World War I started with Franz Ferdinand's assassination, remind them of the real story. A single piece of paper, signed in secret, containing Germany's promise of unconditional support to Austria-Hungary. It was the diplomatic equivalent of handing a loaded gun to an angry neighbor and saying, "Do whatever you think is necessary." The blank check of July 5, 1914, proves that history's most catastrophic decisions often happen not on battlefields or in parliamentary debates, but in quiet palace rooms where powerful men make promises they can't take back. One conversation, 13 minutes. The secret deal that started World War I. If this secret meeting that changed world history blew your mind, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Did you know about Germany's blank check before watching this video? Most people don't learn about this in school, so subscribe and hit the notification bell.